Imagine you're walking into a room.
Right.
It could be, a boardroom with that stale coffee smell,
Mm.
or maybe a cocktail party where everyone is holding their glass just a little too tight.
Or just your own kitchen on a Tuesday night.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
say hello, you ask someone how they are, maybe you complain about the weather or that nagging boss of yours.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels spontaneous, right? It feels like you're just living,
Yeah,
existing.
you're just interacting.
But what if I told you that almost nothing you just did was random?
That's the unsettling part.
It really is. What if I told you that you were actually moving pieces on a board, following a strict set of rules, and aiming for a very specific hidden payoff?
A payoff you might not even be aware of yourself.
Right. It completely shifts the paradigm of how you view human connection.
It suggests that beneath the surface of polite society, beneath the, how do you do's and the fine thanks, we are all engaged in a series of unconscious
They're
maneuvers.
playing games.
We are playing games, but, and this is a critical distinction for this deep dive, we aren't talking about monopolies or poker.
Or Catan.
Right, not Catan.
Hmm.
In the context of what we're looking at today, a game does not imply fun.
Not at all.
It doesn't imply playfulness.
Yeah, it's not about leisure. It's really about survival and emotional strategy.
Exactly.
So today, we are diving into the seminal work of Dr. Eric Berne, his book, Games People Play.
Which is just a massive milestone in psychology.
Oh, absolutely. For context, this book completely revolutionized psychiatry when it came out in the 1960s.
It really did, because before Berne, therapy was often this nebulous, abstract thing.
Like lying on a couch talking about your dreams.
Exactly, very Freudian. But Berne gave psychiatry the wheel, so to speak.
He brought it down to earth.
He took the study of human behavior out of the ivory tower and put it right into the driver's seat of everyday life.
He made psychology observable.
Yes. You could literally see it happening in real time.
And the core premise is fascinating, but also, frankly, a little terrifying.
Definitely terrifying.
It's the idea that most human relationships are built on these patterned, predictable series of moves.
Moves that lead to a payoff.
Right. And usually that payoff is not happiness.
Almost never happiness. It's a negative emotion.
And that right there is the hook of the whole theory that I just can't get past.
This is the big question.
Why on earth would we play games where the entire goal is to feel bad?
To feel angry.
Or depressed or self-righteous?
That is exactly what we need to unpack today.
Because Berne's work is essentially a handbook for decoding these secret rules of social interaction.
It's a field guide.
So the mission for this deep dive is to understand why we self-sabotage, why we get stuck in these endless loops, and crucially, how to spot the difference between an honest, authentic operation and a manipulative game.
And if we do this right, if you really grasp these concepts, you won't just understand the source material.
Right.
You'll understand your coworkers, your spouse, and yourself in a way that might be, a little uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
But incredibly liberating.
So let's start at the very bottom. The absolute basement of human needs.
The foundation.
Before we even get to the complex mind games,
Yeah.
the he said, she said, stuff we have to talk about why we even interact at all.
Right. Why do we bother?
Berne talks about this concept of stimulus hunger.
Yes. And this is biological bedrock.
It's not just a metaphor.
No, Berne wasn't just theorizing in a vacuum. He was looking at hard data. He heavily cites the work of Renee Spitz.
The orphanage studies.
Right. Spitz studied infants in orphanages. And these were children who were, by all logistical measures, cared for.
They were fed.
They were fed, they were kept warm, they were kept clean in a very sterile environment.
But they were deprived of handling.
Exactly. They weren't held, they weren't cuddled or touched.
And the results of that were just horrific.
Tragic, beyond tragic. They found that if you deprive an infant of physical contact, they don't just get sad,
Right.
they physically deteriorate.
Their bodies shut down.
They succumb to a condition called marasmus, which is basically a severe wasting away, and they can actually die from it.
Yeah.
It's a stark, terrifying realization. Emotional deprivation and sensory deprivation are fatal.
We literally need touch to survive.
We do. We are wired to need connection just as much as we need calories or oxygen.
That is wild. And Berne uses this very evocative, almost visceral colloquialism to describe it.
I know exactly the quote you mean.
He says, if you are not stroked, your spinal cord will shrivel up.
It paints such a picture.
It really does. Now, in infancy, that stroke is literal.
It's a physical pat, a hug, Skin-to-skin contact.
But as we grow up, society puts limits on us.
Right. You can't just go around hugging everyone.
You can't walk up and hug the CEO in the elevator.
That would be a career-limiting move.
Definitely. You can't cuddle the barista at the coffee shop.
Society dictates that adults keep their hands to themselves.
So we have to compromise.
We undergo this transformation. We learn to accept symbolic strokes.
Meaning what exactly?
A nod across the room, a word of greeting, a smile. This is what Berne calls recognition hunger.
So we trade the physical stroke for a verbal or social one.
Exactly. Hello is a stroke.
A compliment is a stroke.
Yes, and this is a huge point we'll get to later. Even an insult is a stroke.
Wait, better to be insulted than ignored.
Biologically speaking, yes, absolutely.
Really?
Any social intercourse has a biological advantage over no intercourse at all. If you are completely ignored, your spinal cord shrivels.
The metaphorical marasmus.
Right. But if someone screams at you, well, at least they're acknowledging your existence.
Wow. That explains so much toxic behavior, doesn't it?
It really does. It explains internet pings.
Yes.
It explains people staying in terrible, argumentative relationships. People just want to be seen, even if they're seen as the villain.
Because negative attention is better than no attention.
Exactly. It's still a stroke.
But there's another hunger that drives us, perhaps even more relentlessly once we're adults.
Structure hunger.
Right. The fear of boredom.
But it's not just, oh, I'm bored, let me check my phone.
No, it feels way deeper than that.
It is deeper. It's the existential terror of unstructured time.
The void.
Imagine standing in an empty room with a complete stranger and having absolutely nothing to say.
Oh, the worst.
The silence isn't just awkward. For many people, it's physically unbearable.
Because what do you do with yourself?
Right. Kierkegaard pointed this out. Boredom is synonymous with emotional starvation. We don't really know who we are if we aren't doing something or interacting with someone.
So we need to structure our time to avoid that social hiatus.
We have to fill the void. We use rituals. We use work.
But when work and rituals aren't enough...
Then we play games.
Okay, so we're starving for strokes and we're terrified of the silence.
That sets the stage perfectly. We are desperate creatures.
Now, before we get into the specific games, and man, some of these names in the book are just incredible.
Oh, they are so memorable.
Like, kick me and now I've got you, you son of a bitch.
Very descriptive.
But before we get to those, we need to understand the players. Or rather, the parts of ourselves that are playing.
This is where Berne introduces the ego states.
And we have to be super clear here for anyone listening who has taken Psych 101.
Yes, this is not Freud.
Right? We are not talking about the id, the ego, and the superego.
Those are purely theoretical concepts. You can't touch an aid.
You can't point to a superego.
No, but Berne's ego states are phenomenological realities.
Meaning they are observable.
Yes, you can see them. You can hear them in a person's voice. You can see them in their posture.
So introduce us to this cast of characters inside our heads.
Okay, first, you have the parent.
The parent ego state.
Right. This is the part of you that is essentially a high-fidelity tape recording of your actual parents or parental figures.
So wait, when I am in the parent ego state,
Yeah.
I feel, think, and act exactly as one of my parents did.
Exactly.
So if my dad was a classic finger wagger, my parent ego state is a finger wagger.
You'll literally wag your finger without thinking about it. Now, it can be the nurturing parent, like, oh, poor you. Let me fix it. Here's some chicken soup.
Or the critical parent.
Yes. Why can't you ever do anything right? Look at this mess.
So it's very do as I do or do as I say.
Exactly. It's filled with judgments, morals, and automatic responses. It saves time on routine decisions.
Okay, that's the parent. What's next?
Then you have the adult.
The adult. Now, this isn't about being mature.
No, it's not about maturity. The adult is the computer.
The computer.
It's the part of you that processes data, deals with objective reality, and calculates probabilities.
So it's not emotional.
Not at all. It doesn't judge. It just looks at the facts in the here and now.
Like Spock from Star Trek.
A bit like Spock, yeah. It's the part of you that looks both ways before crossing a busy street.
Not because my mom told me to look both ways.
Right, because the adult estimates the velocity of the oncoming cars and decides it's objectively unsafe to step out.
It's strictly necessary for survival.
Yes. An interaction like, where are my keys? They're on the table. That's purely an adult-to-adult transaction.
Data in, data out.
Exactly.
And finally, we have the child.
The child. This is the archaic relic of your own past.
So it's the literal little boy or girl you once were still living inside you.
Yes. And this is where intuition, creativity, and spontaneity come from.
Which is great.
It's the most valuable part of the personality for charm and pleasure.
Right, but it's also where the negative stuff lives.
Fear, compliance, that deep-seated feeling of, I'm not okay.
I think it's important to note for you listening, based on the source text, that child is not an insult here.
Not at all.
It's not childish in a derogatory way. It's childlike.
Correct. You need the child for fun. You can't enjoy a beautiful sunset or laugh at a joke with your adult computer state.
The computer just sees wavelengths of light.
Exactly. And you need the adult for survival and, doing your taxes.
And the parent to automate the routine stuff.
So you don't have to think about everything. The trouble starts not with having these states, because we all have all three.
Right.
The trouble starts when they get crossed in communication.
Okay, and this brings us to the core of transactional analysis.
Yes.
Let's break this down, because this is the actual mechanic of the game. A transaction is essentially just an exchange of strokes, right?
Yes. A stimulus from one person and a response from another.
So what's the simplest version of that?
The simplest one is a complementary transaction.
Where the lines are parallel.
Exactly. I ask you from my adult state, what time is it? And you respond from your adult state, it's noon.
Adult to adult.
Vectors are parallel.
Or what about parent and child?
Say my child state is whining, I'm sick, I feel terrible, and your nurturing parent state responds, here, let me get you some water and a blanket.
So as long as the vectors are parallel, the communication works.
As long as they're parallel, communication can go on forever. It's smooth, it's efficient, nobody gets hurt.
But then
Yeah.
we have the cross transaction.
And this is the source of almost all social pain and conflict.
Okay, give us an example.
Let's say I ask you, strictly as an adult, do you know where my cufflinks are?
You're just asking for data.
Pure data. I'm not accusing you. I just want to know where they are.
But I've had a long day.
Right. Maybe your parent state is highly active, so instead of just giving me data, you flare up and say, why don't you keep track of your own things? You're not a child anymore.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So I asked adult to adult, but you responded parent to child.
Exactly. The vectors literally cross on the diagram, and when that happens, communication breaks down instantly.
Because we aren't talking about cufflinks anymore.
No, now we're arguing about responsibility, maturity, and who does what in the house. The original topic is totally lost.
This happens all the time.
Every day.
But there's a third type of transaction, and this is the most important one for our discussion on games today.
The ulterior transaction.
The secret meaning. The hidden agenda.
This is the very basis of all games. An ulterior transaction happens on two levels simultaneously.
Walk us through that.
There is the social level, which is what we say openly.
The words that come out of our mouths.
Right. And then there is the psychological level.
Which is what we actually mean.
Exactly. The hidden motive.
The classic example from Berne's book is The Cowboy and the Visitor.
It's perfect.
It sounds like a really bad romance novel scene, but it illustrates this perfectly.
So set the scene for us.
The cowboy looks at the visitor and says, come see the barn.
And the visitor replies, I've loved barns since I was a little girl.
Okay, so on the social level, they're talking about agriculture.
Structures, buildings.
Adult to adult. I have a barn. I like barns.
But on the psychological level, what's really happening?
It's a child-to-child interaction.
About sex play.
Right. The cowboy's actually saying, let's go play in the dark.
And the visitor is saying, I'm ready to play.
And the outcome involves the barn, sure, but it has absolutely nothing to do with architecture.
Exactly. The outcome of the interaction is always determined by the psychological level, never the social one.
And that's the trick.
That's the core of it. Games are basically dishonest. They appear to be one thing on the surface, but they are something else entirely underneath.
So let's look at the anatomy of a game. Because Berne actually has a formula for this.
He does. It's remarkably precise.
It's not just a random messy interaction. It's highly structured.
The formula is con plus gimmick equals response, which leads to a switch, which leads to a payoff.
Okay, let's unpack that formula piece by piece. It starts with the con.
The con is the hook. It's the bait. I want something from you, usually an emotional reaction, but I'm not asking for it directly.
The con doesn't work alone.
No, a con cannot work without a gimmick.
And the gimmick is on the other person's side.
Yes. The gimmick is your weakness.
Ah.
It's your need to be helpful, or your fear of being criticized, your vanity, your greed.
So if you throw out a hook, and I don't have a place for it to catch,
then there's no game. If I play the helpless child con, trying to get you to save me, and you don't have a nurturing parent gimmick looking for someone to save,
I just wouldn't engage.
You'll just look at me, say, well, that sucks, and walk away. Game over.
But if I do bite,
If your need to be the good guy kicks in, then you give the response.
and then comes a switch.
The trap springs, the roles suddenly reverse, the helpless person suddenly becomes the attacker.
Or the helpful person becomes the victim.
Exactly. And that leads directly to the payoff.
The resulting emotion.
The game was designed from the very start to produce this specific feeling.
Usually negative.
Usually the player feels justified, self-righteous, or tragically misunderstood. It confirms their worldview.
And Berne calls this collecting trading stamps.
Right. Which
Weird.
is a metaphor from the 60s.
Like at the grocery store.
Yeah, back then you'd collect stamps with your groceries, put them in a book, and trade them in for a toaster or whatever. Emotionally, you collect stamps too. Brown ones for feeling depressed, red ones for anger. And when you fill your book, when you have enough,
You cash them in for a prize.
a guilt-free bender, a divorce,
Ah.
a massive blow-up at work.
So we are hoarding these negative feelings from small interactions to justify something massive later.
Exactly.
That is dark.
It is dark, but once you see it, you literally can't unsee it.
Okay, let's make this concrete. Let's talk about specific games.
Let's do it.
Let's start with party games. Because we have all been at that dinner party where someone starts complaining and suddenly the whole dynamic shifts.
Oh, yeah.
The most famous one, the one that actually started Berne on this whole theory, is called Why Don't You Yes But?
YDYB.
You-
The absolute classic. It is played in committee meetings, therapy groups, living rooms, everywhere.
How does it work? Set the scene for us.
Okay. White, that's Berne's term for the agent, the person initiating the game. White states a problem.
So someone says, my husband never built anything right. He's totally useless around the house.
Right. Now the group, eager to help, their parent states are activated. They want to fix it. So they offer solutions.
Why don't you buy him better tools?
And White replies, yes, but he doesn't know how to use them.
Well, why don't you hire a carpenter?
Yes, but we can't afford it.
Why don't you ask him to just paint instead?
Yes, but he gets paint all over the carpet.
It feels like you're trying to help, but every single suggestion is shot down. It's exhausting.
That is the point.
It is.
Yes, the social level is adult to adult. I have a problem, give me a solution.
But the psychological level.
Child to parent. It's really saying, I bet you can't make me solve this. I bet I can defeat you.
And what is the payoff for White?
Silence.
Just silence.
Eventually, the group runs out of ideas. They give up.
And White wins.
White wins. The silence signifies that the others are totally inadequate to help her. Her child state has proven that the parent figures can't dominate her.
Wow.
The payoff is this sense of reassurance that her problem is genuinely unsolvable.
So she doesn't have to surrender or actually change anything.
She is safe in her misery.
That is so frustrating.
Yeah.
I can literally picture people I know who do this.
We all know someone.
It's not about fixing the sink at all. It's about proving the sink can't be fixed.
Exactly.
So what's the antithesis? How do you stop a game of YDYB?
You do not offer solutions.
You just stay quiet.
That's the only way to break the game. You resist that strong urge to be the smart rescuer. Instead, you say, wow, that sounds like a really difficult problem. What are you going to do about it?
Oh, I love that. You throw it right back to their adult state.
Exactly. It forces them to either get real and use their own adult or find someone else to play with.
Another party game Berne mentions is schlemiel.
Yes. The person who makes a mess.
The schlemiel spills the wine on the hostess's nice rug. They break the vase. They burn a cigarette hole in the sofa.
But the game isn't the mess.
It isn't.
No, the mess is just the move. The actual game is the apology.
Oh, I am so sorry. I am terrible. Look what I did. Please forgive me.
Exactly. And the host, who is the victim here, feels massive social pressure to say, oh, it's okay, really, don't worry about it. It was an old rug anyway.
So the schlemiel gets to be highly destructive, but then gets completely forgiven. That's the payoff.
The payoff is the forgiveness. They get the pleasure of the aggression ruining your rug, which is essentially a hostile act.
Right.
And they get the pleasure of absolution. They force you to be nice to them immediately after they hurt you.
That is wild.
The antithesis is brutal, though.
You don't forgive them.
You don't. You say, you can ruin the rug, but please don't say you're sorry.
Oh, man, that would certainly stop the party.
It creates immediate tension, which exposes the game. It flat out refuses to give the child the good parent response they're fishing for.
Then there's Ain't It Awful.
A very common one.
This one feels very current. especially online.
It's the game of shared misery. You know, nowadays, kids are so disrespectful.
Doctors don't know anything anymore.
Or it can be water cooler talk about management. The executives are ruining the company.
The goal isn't to fix the issue.
Not at all. It's to seek out injustice and share righteous indignation. It confirms the position that they are bad and we are victims.
Misery loves company.
And it's a great way to structure time without actually doing anything productive.
Let's move closer to home, into the marriage.
Yes. This is where the games get really high stakes.
These are played for keeps, sometimes for a lifetime.
Marital games are deep.
The foundational marital game Berne describes is called If It Weren't For You.
IWFY. This is fascinating because it actually explains why people so often marry their opposites.
Walk us through the case study.
Let's take Mrs. White. She constantly complains that her husband is a tyrant. He restricts her life. He won't let her learn to dance or take a class.
So she tells her friends, if it weren't for him, I could be out having fun. I could be a dancer.
Exactly. That's the social level. She's the victim of a controlling husband.
Seems pretty straightforward.
But Berne digs deeper. He suggests that Mrs. White actually has a severe phobia of dance floors, or a deep fear of intimacy, or a fear of putting herself out there and failing.
Okay.
She chose a domineering husband specifically so he would forbid her from doing the things she is actually terrified of doing.
Wait, so his controlling nature is actually a service to her?
Precisely. It protects her from her own fears.
Mind blown.
As long as he says no, she can maintain the illusion that she would do it if only he weren't so mean.
She gets to be the victim, which is the payoff, and she completely avoids the thing she fears.
Which is the external psychological advantage.
So the game falls apart if he suddenly says yes.
That's the antithesis. If he turns around and says, you know what, go ahead, take the lessons. I even bought you the dancing shoes.
What happens?
Her phobia is unmasked. She can't blame him anymore. She has to face her own debilitating anxiety.
That is a twisting of reality that is hard to wrap your head around, but it makes so much sense. It perfectly preserves the status quo.
Humans love the status quo.
What about the game called Corner?
Corner is a brutal game of manipulation where you put your spouse in a double bind. A position where they are damned if they do and damned if they don't.
Give us an example of how that plays out.
Okay, the wife suggests going to a movie. The husband agrees. Sounds nice, right? But then she casually mentions that the house needs painting.
Okay.
Now, she knows full well that finances are a sore spot for him right now, so he predictably snaps at her about the money.
And then?
Then she says, well, if you're going to be in a bad mood, I'm certainly not going to the movie with you.
And they stay home.
Right. She gets to feel injured and innocent, and he feels let down and angry.
But neither of them really wanted to go to the movie, did they?
Exactly. They probably wanted to avoid intimacy that night.
The argument provided the excuse.
The corner gave them the out. They get the payoff of avoiding the closeness they claim to want, but secretly fear.
It's safer to be angry than to be intimate.
Absolutely. That is a recurring theme in Berne's work.
Intimacy is terrifying.
Because it's game-free. It's completely vulnerable.
Yeah.
Games are a defense mechanism against that vulnerability.
Speaking of defenses, there's a marital game called Courtroom.
Yes.
This one involves a third party, right? Like bringing in a referee.
Often a therapist, or sometimes just a mutual friend.
So how does Courtroom work?
The husband starts. He says, let me tell you what she did yesterday. And the wife immediately jumps in. No, that's not it at all. Here's the truth.
They are literally presenting a case to a judge.
Exactly. They don't want a solution. They don't want to fix the underlying issues in the marriage.
What do they want?
They want the judge to say, you are right. They want victory, reassurance.
So if you're the therapist in that room, how do you handle it?
You refuse to issue a verdict.
You just won't judge.
You might even ban the use of the third person. You force them to talk to each other, saying you, instead of talking about each other to the therapist using he or she.
It forces them out of the legalistic framework.
They're right back into the actual relationship.
And then there's Frigid Woman, or the variation called Uproar.
This is a really painful one. It's where the game actually substitutes for the sexual act itself.
It involves this cycle of advances and rejections.
Right. Just as intimacy seems possible, a door is slammed. See, all you want is sex, or you just don't understand me.
And the fight, the uproar, becomes the climax.
The slamming door provides the necessary physical separation.
So they avoid the sexual intimacy, which is their underlying fear, but they still get a high-intensity emotional exchange.
Exactly. It's like they're getting their strokes, negative strokes, sure, through the screaming match, because the positive strokes of real intimacy are just too scary.
Even a negative stroke keeps the spinal cord from shriveling.
That's the biological imperative at work.
Okay, now we move to what Berne calls the life games.
The serious ones.
These are the ones that can define a person's entire existence, their
Yeah.
career, their fate.
Yeah.
And the big one here, the one that challenges conventional wisdom the most, is simply called alcoholic.
This is one of Berne's most provocative analyses. It completely reframes alcoholism.
He says that in game analysis, the drinking itself is not the primary issue.
No. The drinking is merely a move to set up the ultimate payoff.
So what is the payoff?
The hangover. And crucially, the forgiveness.
Wait. The alcoholic plays the game to be scolded and then forgiven?
It's a classic parent-child interaction.
That reverses everything we usually think about addiction. We usually think they drink to have fun or to numb pain, and the hangover is just the unwanted punishment.
You'd think so, but Berne says they drink in order to get the punishment.
In the logic of the game, the punishment is the goal.
Yes. And the game requires a whole cast of characters to work.
Right, it's not a solo game.
You have the alcoholic, obviously, but you also need the persecutor, usually the spouse who scolds and blames them the next morning.
You need the rescuer.
The doctor, or the sympathetic friend who constantly tries to fix them.
You have the patsy.
The enabler, the one who lends them money when they're broke.
And the connection.
The bartender or the liquor store clerk.
And this game continues as long as everyone plays their role.
Exactly. The rescuer and the persecutor are actually keeping the game going just as much as the alcoholic is.
How so?
If the wife scolds him, she is giving his child state the kick he is looking for. She's fulfilling the script.
Berne points out something interesting about Alcoholics Anonymous in this context.
Yes. He says the brilliance of AA is that the alcoholic simply switches roles.
They become the rescuer.
For other alcoholics, they are still playing a game, but they've shifted to a socially constructive role. It satisfies the structure hunger without the self-destruction.
And what's the antithesis? How do you stop playing alcoholic if you're the spouse?
You have to refuse to play persecutor or rescuer.
Which is incredibly hard.
It's agonizing. You treat the drinking as a strictly adult transaction. You don't scold them in the morning.
And you don't save them.
You don't call in sick to work for them. You allow the natural consequences to fall where they may, completely denying the child state the attention it's craving.
Because society conditions us to be rescuers.
We are trained to jump in. Withdrawing that is the only way to break the cycle.
There's another life game that feels like it's played in offices everywhere. Now I've got you, you son of a bitch.
The NIGY-SOB. It's an aggressive acronym for an aggressive game.
This is the game of pent-up rage, just waiting for a justification.
The example from the book is the plumber, right?
Yeah, but walk us through the plumber.
White calls a plumber to do some work. The quote is $400.
Okay.
The plumber does the work, but installs a slightly different valve that costs an extra $4.
A tiny discrepancy.
When the bill comes, White absolutely explodes.
Oh, $4.
He questions the plumber's entire ethics, his integrity as a human being. He refuses to pay the whole bill.
It's definitely not about the $4.
Not at all. White has been bottling up rage for years, maybe since childhood. He is constantly looking for someone to make a mistake.
And as soon as the plumber makes that minor error,
White has the justification he needs to vent all that fury. He gets to feel incredibly self-righteous. I am right, you are wrong, and now I have you.
it's like a poker player who doesn't even care about winning the money.
They just want to have the unbeatable hand so they can completely humiliate their opponent.
The payoff is the venting of the rage under the socially acceptable guise of justice.
Precisely.
And the opposite of the aggressor in these games is the victim. The game called Kick Me.
Kick me. These players walk around with a metaphorical sign on their back saying, please don't kick me.
But their actions say otherwise.
Their actions invite the kick. They behave provocatively. They mess up at work constantly. They date terribly abusive people.
Until finally, society is forced to retaliate.
They get fired. They get dumped.
And then they cry their catchphrase.
WAHM. Why does this always happen to me?
But the game analysis shows they engineered the whole thing.
They wanted the kick. It confirms their core life position. I am not okay.
There's a variation of this called threadbare, isn't there?
Yes. Often played by women, though anyone can play it, who deliberately stay poor or continually struggle.
Why would someone do that?
So they can constantly receive parental advice and financial help.
They stay in the victim role to ensure a steady stream of rescuers.
Exactly. They make sure they never quite succeed because true success would mean losing all those strokes they get from being needy.
One more life game that I see a lot in the workplace is see what you made me do.
SWYMD, a classic deflection of responsibility.
How does that one look?
You're working on something and you isolate yourself. Then someone interrupts you to ask a quick question and your hand slips. You ruin the project.
And you turn and scream, see what you made me do.
But you made the mistake.
Of course.
But the game allows you to blame the intruder. It justifies your anger and lets you eject people from your space.
And on a professional level, this is the manager who delegates work but gives totally unclear instructions.
Yes. When the subordinate inevitably messes it up, the boss says, see what you made me do, now I have to fix it myself.
It maintains their authority and proves to everyone that no one else is competent.
It's a terrible way to lead.
We have to touch on the sexual games and the underworld games because Berne goes there, and these get much darker.
They do. There's the game of Ruppo.
Which is a game of seduction and rejection.
And it comes in degrees. First degree is called kiss-off. It's mild flirtation at a party, but as soon as the man commits or shows real interest, the woman abruptly ends it.
And second degree.
Second degree is indignation. She leads him on heavily just to reject him and actively enjoy his discomfiture.
Buzz off, Buster. Who do you think you are?
And third degree.
Third degree is vicious. It leads to actual physical contact and then a false claim of assault.
It ends in the courtroom or the morgue.
The payoff here is a malicious, destructive revenge, often driven by a deep-seated hostility toward men.
And the antithesis to this, if a man sees it coming.
If he refuses to play, if he just completely ignores the seduction, the woman may switch games to save face.
She switches to what Berne calls the Potiphar's wife maneuver. Right, which often transitions into let's you and him fight.
That sounds like the plot of every epic myth. Helen of Troy.
It is. A woman maneuvers two men into fighting for her. It heavily strokes her ego.
But the comic ending, or maybe the cynical one.
While the two men are beating each other up, she simply runs off with a third man.
The payoff is proving that honest competition is for suckers.
Exactly.
Okay, we have covered a lot of games.
A lot.
And it's honestly a bit overwhelming. It starts to feel like literally everything we do is the game.
It can feel that way.
Where did these come from? Why are we like this?
Berne argues that games are learned very early in childhood.
Like the classic stomachache to avoid eating vegetables.
Yes, and they are passed down like family heirlooms.
So if your parents played alcoholic or uproar,
you learned those exact moves at the dinner table. You absorbed that this is just how human beings interact.
And we play them to structure our time, to get our strokes.
And most importantly, to maintain homeostasis.
Keeping our worldview stable.
We all have a position, I'm not okay, or people can't be trusted, or men are tyrants. We play these games repeatedly to confirm that worldview.
Every single time Mrs. White's husband stops her from dancing, she confirms men are tyrants.
It keeps her world predictable. Even if it's a miserable stability, it's stable.
So is there a way out?
Yes.
Can we actually stop playing?
Berne calls the way out autonomy, and it requires three things. First, awareness.
You have to see the game happening in real time.
You have to catch yourself and realize, hey, I'm playing yes, but right now.
And second?
Spontaneity.
Meaning what?
Choosing how to react rather than just blindly following the script.
So not saying I'm sorry when you spill the wine if you know you're playing Schlemal.
Exactly. Not yelling when the plumber overcharges you. It means liberating yourself from the compulsion to play the next logical card in the deck.
And the third requirement for autonomy.
Intimacy.
And this is the holy grail.
It is. Intimacy is the completely game-free exchange of affection.
It's candid.
It's totally vulnerable. And it's the only truly satisfying answer to our original stimulus hunger.
But it's rare.
It's incredibly rare, and it's terrifying because it has no rules.
In a game, you know the outcome.
In intimacy, you are flying without a net.
It's worth noting before we wrap up that Berne says not all games are inherently bad.
True. There are good games, like Cavalier or Good Joe, where the social function involves actually helping others.
But even those
are substitutes for true intimacy. They are still structured, predictable transactions.
So we've been on quite a journey today.
We really have.
We've gone from the biological need for strokes all the way through the ego states of parent, adult, and child.
We've dissected the con, the switch, and the payoff.
We've seen how people collect trading stamps, That's a metaphor that's going to stick with me.
It's a great one. Collecting brown stamps for insults or red stamps for anger,
And when you have enough, you cash them in for your prize.
a guilt-free depression, or a totally justified rage.
It's a haunting image, really. Saving up small insults so you can feel entitled to explode later.
It is.
And the challenge for you listening today is to observe. The next time you are in a conversation, at work, at home, at a party, just watch.
Be the adult computer for a minute.
Are you playing Why Don't You Yes But?
Is your spouse playing If It Weren't For You?
Are you quietly collecting injustices for a game of Now I've Got You?
It's like putting on X-ray glasses. Once you see the games, you really can't unsee them.
But remember, true intimacy is the only way to actually meet another person.
Because, as Berne says, the game is just a way to fill time while waiting for Santa Claus or death.
That is the ultimate choice. Fill the time with games or dare to drop the script and see what's left of you. If you strip away all the moves, all the gimmicks, who are you?
What is left? That's the scariest question of all.
That is a lot to chew on. Until next time in the deep dive, check your ego states.
And watch your transactions.